And welcome to another video. So today we are going to talk again about the Emacs text editor. So you might be wondering, why does this guy keep talking about the Emacs text editor? Well, the reason is that it's a pretty incredible piece of software. And it's a pretty incredible piece of software that today I am selling for only $230. So $230 gets you the Emacs software installed on your computer system. I do the installation. It doesn't matter if you're using Linux, if you're using Mac, if you're using Windows. I'm going to walk you through the installation of Emacs onto your computer system, and we're going to get you going with Emacs. We're going to teach you how to use Emacs. We're going to teach you the ins and outs of this incredible piece of software. So who wants to use Emacs, and why would you pay me to use Emacs? So the reason that you would pay to use Emacs rather than using one of the free versions that you can find online, rather than installing it yourself and learning how to use it yourself, is that every installation of Emacs, every configuration of Emacs is unique. That means that my Emacs configuration, my Emacs software is different from other Emacs configurations. So we're talking about a piece of software here that is Word on steroids. It is really an incredible piece of software. You can do everything with Emacs, and we are going to talk in this series about some of the things that you can do with Emacs, some of the reasons why you might want to use Emacs. The first reason, of course, that you might want to use Emacs is because you're not using the mouse. Once you start using Emacs, you're just using the keyboard. You've got your control key, you've got these keys that you're going to use to move around. Other reasons that you might want to use Emacs is that you have things like scheduling. You can set up your schedule and you can have it remind you on your phone. You can get shopping lists on your phone updated. You can get your phone telling you when you've got bills to pay. You can get your phone telling you when you have appointments, and you can get your phone telling you where those appointments are. You can use Emacs to create documents. You can create Word documents, ODF documents, Google documents, PDF documents. You can use Emacs to create invoices. You can write reports. You can write letters. You can write letters in HTML and CSS if you want to. You can use Emacs to study note cards. So you just write up your notes, and then you have your note cards. You just push your note cards to the cloud, and you can quiz yourself on your phone with these note cards. You can use this system to remember recipes, to remember scripts, to learn things if you are an actor. You can use Emacs to write books. You can use, there's so many things that you can do with Emacs. It's just incredible. And a lot of different kind of people use it. There's a lot of reasons why you might want to use it. If you are a knowledge worker, a professional, then it's pretty obvious that you might want to use Emacs. For example, if you're a computer programmer, that's a pretty obvious reason to use Emacs. If you're a data scientist, that's a pretty obvious reason to use Emacs. Anytime that you're working with knowledge work. But the thing is, a lot of people use Emacs that are not working in specifically, knowledge work. For example, actors use Emacs. People that travel the world performing live classical music use Emacs. They want to write down notes. They want to express themselves on text. So there's a lot of reasons why you could use Emacs. And the reason why you would want to buy Emacs from me is because Emacs is very complex. It takes a lot of time to learn how to use it. It could take you 10 years. I've been using Emacs for 10 years. But if you purchase Emacs from me for $230, you get more than 20,000 lines of Emacs code configured and installed on your computer, and it syncs up with all of your programs. We're really going to teach you how to use Emacs. We're going to teach you how to use Emacs quickly. We want to take that learning curve and we're going to flatten it out, or increase the steepness of the learning curve. If you're thinking about how much you're going to learn, you're going to learn a lot more in a lot less time with this system. So this is a really good system for you to buy. And in this tutorial series where I'm going to show you the benefits of my Emacs installation. So when you're watching this, think about owning Emacs. Think about doing the things that you see me doing on the screen. Follow those things and then contact me. All you have to do is give me $230. I'm going to give you this software and I'm going to install this software with you on your computer. There's a couple of caveats. If your computer is not working, it's a mess, then we're not going to go ahead with the installation. But if you have a pretty reasonable setup, your computer is running properly, there shouldn't be you don't have any big problems with your computer, then we will just go ahead and we will get this set up on your computer and everything's going to be working well. No reason why we can't get Emacs set up on your computer and working really well, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and we are going to start the Emacs installation up. I'm looking at a little bit of a lag in the video at this moment, wondering where that's going to come at. So where that's coming from, I'm just going to go ahead and pause this video, and then we'll pick it up again in a second. Okay, so we're ready to go here. We are going to pick up where we left off. We're going to start up the Emacs software. I'm just going to, make this a little bit smaller, make myself in the video just a little bit smaller. I'm not using the shortcuts for this because when I expand zoom, it changes the resolution. So if I use the shortcut with OBS, then, it still thinks zoom is small. So you get it full screen, but it's got terrible resolution. So let's go ahead and we'll start this up. You can see I'm clicking on Emacs now. And Emacs is starting up. And as you can see, this is the installation. This is what you are going to get on your computer. You can see it's doing collecting some stories. It's running some of the packages, and it's just going through this startup. So it's going to work just like this on your computer. This is what you're going to see, and when it opens up, you're going to see this dashboard, okay? Take a look at this dashboard, and you can see there's some coloration down at the bottom here, and that's because of the time of day. This widget changes color based on the time of day. Sometimes it's very nice sky blue, and then it gets dark depending on the time of day. So don't worry about that coloration. It looks a little awkward. It's because it's always changing color. It's actually quite a nice plugin. We're going to open this up and we're going to do a couple of quick things here. I want to turn on some software. We're going to turn on this KeyCast software. We turn that on from within Emacs. You can see in the bottom on the right-hand side, lower part of the screen, you're going to see some characters that I pressed on the keyboard. So you're going to be able to see the keyboard. And we're also going to launch this PowerToys. It's a Windows program, PowerToys, and it's helpful because it's going to give us kind of a pointer here. You can see we're in the Windows Program Launcher panel, and we're just going to come back into Emacs here, and this is the panel that we see when we turn Emacs on. This is actually called the dashboard. You can see that I have named this the Poseidon Editor. You can name it whatever you want. I'm calling it the Poseidon Editor because I had a picture of Poseidon here. Before this picture, we can change it out. You can see this is a nice spaceship. We're looking at a space station picture here. You have whatever image you want that loads up. Then you can name this anything you want to name it. It's your software. You own it when you buy it from me and we install it onto your computer system. You can also have home pages here. You could have your LinkedIn, you could have your Facebook, links to your LinkedIn and your Facebook. And we've got recent files, we've got agenda, and there are other sort of widgets that we can include here if you wanted this to be customized to say something else. You can see here it says the next time you have to pay your bills, let's say that you paid your bills on the 9th of January, then you would have to set it to say that this task is done and unschedule it, and it wouldn't be on your agenda. Of course, you can have lots of things on your agenda. So we're going to go ahead here, and we're going to quickly talk about a couple of things in Emacs. We're going to talk about the distinction between frames, windows, and buffers, okay? So the frame is this. We know we only have one frame because we only see one section is open at the bottom here. And at the top, we've got this path. This is the frame. That's the frame. And it's tied to just one of these. If we had two frames, we'd see two of these. And within this frame, we've got this window. So we can split this window in two. Now we have two windows, and they're both showing the dashboard. There's one window over here, and there's one window on this side as well. We've got the same buffer inside of different windows. So we're talking about frames, we're talking about windows, and we're talking about buffers. Buffers, they sit in the background, they're visible. You can have 1,000 of them, you can have 4 of them, you can have 1. It's the files that you have in the background. Okay, so let's go back with one window and let's look at the buffers that we have open here. You can see we increase the font size. You can see we've got all these buffers open. These buffers opened automatically because I set them up to open automatically. You can get Emacs to open up whatever files you wanted to open up when you start Emacs. I've got it opening up the journal, in agenda, clients, and this mail file, which is any important mail that you want. We've also got some news articles. We've got an agenda. We've got a calendar. And notice that this file here is GPG. That's an encrypted file. You can encrypt your files. That's something that I include with the system. Obviously, it's got a lot of functionality, but you would get that as well. You'd have the ability to encrypt and decrypt any files on your computer system. That's pretty cool because you can write in your journal. Nobody's going to know what you wrote in your journal except for you. When you encrypt it, you'll be able to read it. When you decrypt it, you'll be able to read it. But when it's encrypted, nobody can read it. You can load that up to Dropbox. You can push that up into the cloud. It's encrypted, totally safe, completely 100% safe. So that's something as well. So let's take a look at a different view here. We've got these 5 different windows are open, and let's take this window, this buffer, we'll put it into the central window. We can actually close out the other buffers, and then we'll open this. This is some news article. So if you wanted to, it changes all the time, and you configure this. Obviously, we're going to talk about ELF feed in another video. But you go ahead and you could read about the surprising roots of ancient Rome's gladiator fights if you wanted to read about that. If you wanted to read about that, you could click on it and open it, and it'll go right into your browser, and you've got the article there. So you can read it in your browser. You can obviously read it in Emacs as well. Let's say that you wanted to read about Atlas Obscura, you could go ahead and you could read that. So there's different articles here, different links, and you can go ahead and you can we can configure that when we install it. So let's go ahead and look at the calendar. We can switch to the calendar here. We'll just go and select it, and you can see that we have a nice theme here. We can select these days, we can go to the agenda, we can change the days, we can read about our shopping list, we can change the shopping list, we can put in the days that we want to select bills, we can organize everything, and of course when we schedule things, that goes onto your phone and reminds you when you've got to schedule an appointment, what that appointment is, where your phone will not actually hit you on the head and wake you up and tell you that you have to go to that appointment, but it will give you that reminder. And you get all of that with other programs. Like you can do that all with Google, and you can do that all with Outlook, but it's just a lot nicer to have that functionality inside of Emacs. And when you are using Emacs and you've got those controls, you're going to understand what it is I'm talking about. And you can see now, if you look on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, you can see I'm pressing Control N and Control P and Control F and Control H. Actually, it's Control B. We'll give you, back. I don't really remember. I just do the movements. But of course, that's the first thing that you learn when you learn Emacs is how to move around the screen. And that's really what separates when you're working in Emacs from working in other computer programs, all these shortcuts. And we're going to talk about the panel system today, but I want you to keep in mind that I've rebound a couple of keys here. And when we install Emacs on your computer system, we're going to be rebinding some of the keys as well. We switch the control key and the caps lock key because you're going to be using that control key and keeping it down all of the time, a lot of the time, not all of the time, but a lot of the time, and you want it to be in a convenient position. You don't want it to, tweak your arm, so you have to go out and, click on the cap locks, the control key. So we switch those keys. We also change up a key, which is called the super keys. There's some super keys. One of them is the X key. The other, the one that I add to the keyboard is the M key. We turn the M key into a super key. And then you get this nice ability to go with your control to, you press control and then you compress M and it gives you a little bit of flow. And then you select a letter and it opens up these UI panels, which have all this functionality that we're going to talk about and we're going to show you right now. So let's go to the desktop and we're going to close out all of these other, delete all these other buffers that we had open. Close them all. So there's only one buffer open, and that is the desktop buffer. Okay, so now we're going to talk about these control panels in this control panel system. They're called Hydras. They use a package called the Hydra Pause Frame. You've got Hydras, you've got the Hydra Pause Frame. But what it really is just this panel that pops up in the center of the screen. We're going to open up that panel right now. Control M and then H, and it gives you this take the Windows helm. You can see it in the highlight there. And these are grouped functions. Each one of these is a function, and each one of these functions opens up another panel. And each one of the panels that we're going to look at can come back to this panel. This is the center panel of a hub of panels. And you can read some of these panels. There's actually around 50 of them. Something like that, between 40 and 50 panels. And each one of these panels has 30 or so functions. So you're starting to get an idea of the amount of things that you can do with this software. If we've got, let's say, 40 panels and each panel has, let's say, 30 functions, well, we're already talking, 2 zeros and a 12. So we've already got 1,200 functions. Some of the functions are repeated and so on and so forth, but it's a lot of functionality. We've got an elf feed system. We've got an org mode system. We've got, how to use the browser. We've got directories. We've got the data science command. We've got editing. We've got searching files. We've got the post office for all of the emails interaction. There's a lot of stuff in here. And today we're going to look at this appearance panel, okay? The appearance panel, that's the first panel. We're going to look at that. I'm going to select A, and then we're in the appearance panel. And I select H, and we're back to the central panel. We go A, we go H, we go A, we go H. We're back to these panels. We can go M, and then we go H. We can go, H, and then H. So yeah, there's a lot of panels in here, and there's a lot of functionality in here. I just want to add one thing here. These are selected by myself. You could have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then the capital letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't have to be, and each panel could have that same order. So if you wanted something more orderly, and then you would learn the letters. The real thing is, once you start using it, you start to play it like a piano. You get these back and forth motion. It's a pretty fun piece of software. It's a pretty good deal. And we are going to, right now, have a look at this appearance panel. So let's talk about this Olivetti mode. You can see here we've got Olivetti, we've got some transparency, we've got mediumized frame, tinyize frame. Over here we've got maximize the frame, and we've got half frame. So let's talk about what Olivetti does. Olivetti, when we start with some minimized fonts and then we go and we select Olivetti, it'll bring everything into the center. So you've got some space on the side. That's kind of nice if you're working in a document and you can't see it. Let's say you're on a big screen, like I'm on a big screen. Then you want to have your text basically in the center of the screen. So Olivetti is a quick way of doing that, and we're going to, and then you can increase the font like this. Okay, so you're working in the center of the screen, and you've got the font increased, decreased. And one of the things you want to do with Olivetti mode is you want to decrease the font before you toggle Olivetti mode on and off, because if we increase the font and then toggle Olivetti mode on and off, it's not going to give us a lot of centering. So what's next here in our appearance panel, Hydra, we've got transparency. You can see we've turned the transparency on and off. Then we've got mediumized frame. We've got tinyize frame. And we can go back and we can maximize this frame, and it'll cycle through here and give us that frame maximization. So that's really nice if you have a number of frames open. Like let's say we opened up another frame here. You can see now we've got the 2 frames in the bottom. There's these 2 frames open like this. And let's say that one of these frames, you had a buffer in here, which had, you just wanted it really small. So you could tinyize that, and then you could actually, move that buffer over. I think we would do that with this one. We'll just move it over. And we would have to sort of remember. We'll look at that when we look at another one of these. Basically, when you have the screen small, you need to maximize the screen before you can read the panel. So if you want to look at the functionality, you have to make the frame, not the screen, you need to make the frame larger so that you can read the panel, and then you can make it small again. So shrinking something down to a really small frame is really helpful, and you're going to use that, but then you would expand it so that you could read the Hydra panels, and then you would shrink it down again when you wanted to move to some other functionality, or if you wanted to move that around. So we'll go back to this appearance panel. We'll just open up the appearance panel, and now you can see we've got this toggle org sticky headers, and over here we've got the toggle. This says modeline path, and this one here says toggle breadcrumbs. I'll just move myself out of the way so I'm kind of smaller down here, and yeah, you can't really see me anyway. I should probably be a little larger so that you can actually see me at all, because I think you probably can't see me on the small size screen. But we're going to move this down here, and then we've got toggle modeline path and toggle breadcrumbs. Now, what is it? What do those do? What does toggle modeline path and what does toggle org sticky headers do? Let's have a look inside of this example file. Okay, we're going to open this example file up, and you can see we've got some text in here. So let's say you're working in this text, and you don't know where you are. Let's say you've got 40,000 lines of a book that you are writing, and you're working away, and you don't know, where you are. So one of the things you can do is you can toggle the org sticky headers. So let's do that. Org sticky headers is on. Now you can see stuck to the top of the frame, or rather the window, you can see that it tells us that we're in heading 2. You're in heading 2. Okay, we're going to untoggle the org sticky headers, and we're going to try this breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs, it does the same thing. You can see up in the top here, it says desktop example org file, and then heading 2. It tells us that we are in the heading 2, but it just gives us a little bit of that extra information. Lets you know what project you're in and what file you're in as well. I like the breadcrumbs. I tend to use those breadcrumbs. There's another function that we're going to talk about. We're going to turn those breadcrumbs off and take a look down here in the mode line. This is called the mode line. Oftentimes there's information down here. You know that we're 8% through this file. We know that we are at 35 in the lines from the top of the buffer. We know that we're on the first character, and we've got more information down here. So, and here we've got the mode that we're in, and we're in a file rather than a buffer. And then here we've got this example org file.org. You can see at the top of the frame, we've got the path telling us where we are on the computer system. Kind of small to read. We've got a little toggle for that. So when we hit this path, this functionality that you can just see right down here, just let me move me out of the way. Toggle modeline path. Toggle modeline path is doing exactly what we see down here. We want to get back to, why am I hitting these buttons repeatedly? There's a reason. The reason is that I'm recording a video. So we've got 3 pieces of software here. I'm using Zoom to have the display of myself on the screen rather than OBS. And we've got OBS working in the background, and we've got Emacs working in the background as well. Plus we've got the programs, the small Windows programs, and one of those is this. So depending on which program is in focus, the shortcuts are going to go into that program. So I essentially have to make sure that we are not on Emacs when I'm using the pointer, and that when we're on Emacs, I click on it. Not a big deal, but now you know why I'm doing all this clicking around. So here we're looking at this mode line. You can see users, the user system, the desktop. That's my computer that we're working on, and then the example org file that we're working on. So that is the toggle the path, and we'll just turn that back. We have to click on Emacs here to the file. So we've got the file. Okay, so let's continue here. Here we've got some theme stuff. We're going to look at that theme stuff a little bit later. Here we've got show hex colors, and we've got highlight numbers, and we've got to show the line numbers. There is a number right there, and we have another number here. But we can't really see those numbers. So if we wanted to see those numbers, we would select this, and now we can see that these are numbers. You can see them. They're visible. They have different colors. Highlight the numbers. That's because it's the number format. If we put these two together, it's going to be coerced by Emacs elisp into a string. It's no longer highlighted. We're going to, not highlight those numbers. Let's show the line numbers. That's this functionality here. Show the line numbers. We can see where we are on the lines in this file. Of course, we can even go to a particular line if we want to go to line 50. Now we're at line 50. And we can then obviously go back to the top here also. So let's not show those lines anymore. And let's talk about a text color. Let's pick a color here. We'll actually pick this nice blue from Zoom. We'll take that color and put it on the clipboard, and we'll put this color right down in the bottom here. We'll open up a new section. We'll put that color there. Now, if we had another color, we wouldn't know what this color is, so we would want to select show hex colors. That's R that we select, and it highlights the different colors. So if we wanted to cycle through to this guy and pick a green color, we could pick a green color from the grass there, and then we could pick that green color. Kind of a flat sort of a green color, but let's not worry about that. Now you can see that we've got that green color. So that's really useful. We turn those off. We toggle that off. So what did we select there? Well, we were looking at this panel, and we went ahead and we selected this show hex colors, okay? Rainbow identifiers and rainbow delimiters. That's going to show you the identifiers if you're in a JavaScript file. In different colors, it's going to show you the parentheses if you're in HTML or JavaScript in different colors. That's on by default. And then we've got this toggle menu bar and toggle toolbar, okay? That's going to make Emacs look a little bit more like your typical software. You can see it even toggles within this Hydra. So we've got our central panel here, and it also has the toolbar, but we have the toolbar at the top here. and we've got the menu at the top as well. So if you're used to using those, you want to click around, you want to use the mouse, you can use those. I don't use them, but you have the option of turning those off, okay? So the toolbar mode is off, and we've got this toggle toolbar mode. We're back to a nice, clean, sleek buffer that we're working in, clean, sleek window that we're working in. Now let's take a look at this. We've got the show some stripes, we've got show the scroll bars, and we've got show the cursor trailer. Let's split the screen. And you can see when the mouse moves from one side to the other. Take a look at this cursor here. We're going to pop it over here. You're going to see, like a comet, you'll see this little trail behind. Whoops. Yeah, so here we've got the trail behind. That's really nice. We've got some little bells and whistles, some flashy stuff. I like that. Let's go back to the panel and let's turn on the scroll bars. We have the scroll bars on. Now, if you wanted to use the mouse, you could go in here and you could use the mouse. You could select the scroll bar, and you could literally, use those scroll bars in each window so you can move around with the mouse. I don't use the scroll bars. I don't select it. I think it's a little awkward. I just use these shortcuts so we can move around the screen. We can move around the screen. We've got some targeting and all kinds of things that we can do, okay? So we are now going to, I think that cross, that was actually the Windows program and not the Emacs program. But keep in mind, this Emacs system is integrated with more than 30 programs on Windows. And if we install it on Linux, it's integrated again with about 30 different programs. So this installation comes with a lot of functionality, and Emacs is actually hooked up with a lot of different programs. So that's really interesting, really exciting, really powerful. So let's talk about some of the other functionality that we have over here. We've got the show the column line, and we've got the fill column. We can just select fill column right now, and we'll make sure we have only one window open. And we'll go up to the top of this window. Now, let's say that you wanted to know, how is this going to map to, let's say, like a postcard or something, a different sized paper, because we do use Emacs to create files. We can create Word files, we can create ODT files, we can create Google documents, we can create PDFs, we can create invoices, letters, notes, note cards, labels, anything you want to create, you can create from within Emacs. And we can take all this text and we can post this into Facebook. You can write something and then you can post it onto your website. And so there's just a lot of stuff that you can do with it. You might want to know where you are, where those margins are. And so now we're going to look at the fill column, and we can toggle also this show column line. So we've got these two different sizes. I think this one is a window size. You can see over here, I just have to click outside of Emacs and we can get back to the double control. And you can see that this size here, I think is 70 characters. And this one, I think, is probably like 40 characters, something like that. Maybe it's 45. And we've got these toggles that can show us a little bit of something about where we are in the document. And now we're going to go ahead and untoggle those two things. We'll just click back on Emacs and out of Zoom. So we'll go ahead and we will untoggle these, okay? Now we've got this highlight the current line. And, that shows us the current line. It's pretty subtle. Maybe it'll be a little bit less subtle when we turn off the transparency. But you could highlight the line. It's going to look different in different modes. We're going to go ahead and unhighlight the current line. And toggle visual keys, that's this next one. Don't worry about that because we're not using that anymore. But we do have this indent wrapped lines. Let's say you're working in an HTML file and you want a guideline that shows you, where the tag starts and where the tag stops. That's what show indent guides does. Show faces variable. That's the next one. That's like if you're building a theme in Emacs and you want to know what these are all named, the different colors in the screen. It's going to show you the faces, how you can control that. The last one here, which is really interesting, is I'll just click off of Emacs again so we can get this highlighting. That's this wrap line at window. So wrap line at window. So let's talk about wrap line at window, and then we'll take a look at some of these screens. Some of these themes. Okay, so let's look through here. We'll just make some adjustments and have a look at this text. I'll think of each one of these lines as a paragraph. Let's go to the end of this line, and you can see that we are at 639 characters. That's a very long line, and we are at 17 lines from the top of this buffer and 639 characters from the beginning of this screen. Okay, now this one at the end, it's only 195, so that one line is a lot longer. And now if we wrap this into the window, you can see that it's still one line. You know, you look here and you can see we're still at 17, and each one of these lines is going to be 17. As we move down, we're still at 17. We just have a we're 574 characters away from the start. So it folds the line into multiple lines, and those multiple lines are tied to this window. So if we split the window, and if we split the window again, we're going to see these lines wrapped in each one of these different windows. We're going to have some different line wrapping. So that line wrapping is visual, and it helps you to work on any particular section of code that you're working on. So this line wrapping, I use it a lot. It's just to bring those really long lines into the screen so that you can work on the screen. So let's unwrap that line. And that's it for this panel. This is the appearance panel. There's a lot of interesting stuff in this appearance panel, but let's talk just about these last little bits on the appearance panel. We've got these themes, okay? Now, a theme is the coloration behind Emacs. Let's turn that transparency back on. And we will close out this program here. Close that off. And we'll come back into Emacs. So the theme kind of changes, how you're working in Emacs, gives you some different coloration. Let's split this up and let's open up what's called a DIRD buffer. Okay, that's this one. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen, we're in a DIRD buffer. That is the same as Windows Explorer. It's showing you what is on the desktop, and it's showing those files like you're in a Windows Explorer window or buffer. Here you can see these files, and you can operate on these. We're going to talk about that when we get to the DIRD mode. But let's switch a theme here. We've got the Load Base 16 PhD theme. So if you are a PhD student or you're a postdoc and you have a PhD, you might like the sound of that theme. Base 16 PhD sounds really good, doesn't it? The other thing is that it's a really nice looking theme to work in. It changes the color to this nice blue color. You get a very subtle green here. You can see this green, and you've got some cool colors, so it can change up your theme. That makes it really nice if you're working in Emacs and you want to have some different colors here. You're tired of the other theme that you were working on. So I like that. I like that PhD theme. The other one I really like is Solarized Dark. Let's have a look at that Solarized Dark. Again, it's kind of a close blue, but here we've got some other colors here. We've got some purple, we've got some green, we've got some really nice colors, and it could be nice to work in this one as well. If you want a little, change up, you want to change things up, you can work in this theme as well, and it's a really nice theme to work in. And now we're just going to skip the Solarized Light, also a nice theme. Seaside theme is nice. Sulfur Pool is nice. We're going to skip all those. We're going to talk just about the Operandi and Leuven. Operandi is a pretty popular theme. Here we're talking about the white themes. This one is white if you want to work in your light mode versus your dark mode. Here you can see we've got some nice colors again. This pink with the blue in the foreground and the pink color in the background. The cursor is black. We've got this nice black cursor. We've got a subtle gray highlighting. If you want to highlight these things, you can see where it's highlighted with this nice sort of gray bluish color. And of course, we've also got some nice blue on at the top here. At the heading, you can see we've got nice blue color here. And so that's pretty nice theme. It's called Operandi. And another popular theme is called Leuven. We're just going to switch into Leuven. It's another light theme. And you can see we've got little different size up at the top of the screen here. This is larger, a different blue. We've got some lines over the heading. We've got some yellow and blue color, and we've got blue on the mode line in the panel here. And we've got some different colors again. So it really changes things up. It makes it interesting when you are working in Emacs because, again, you've got these themes that you can choose from. And you can move through these themes on the fly. Like if we wanted to go back to the PhD theme, we can now just select the PhD theme just directly out of this appearance panel, this Hydra. And then we can go to Ioscaven, which is my favorite theme, the Ioscaven theme. I really like the colors in this theme. It's just a really nice theme to work in. If you're working in really big files, it's nice to work in this theme. You've got big files, you've got JavaScript, you're working HTML, you're working whatever computer programming language you're working in, you've got this really nice theme that you can work in. So that's a little bit about this Emacs text editor. I've had a look at the appearance panel today, and we've talked a little bit about how Emacs works. We're sort of setting you up for what we're going to look at. We've got 40 panels like this. We've got 1,000 functions that we can look at. You get all of this for just $230. You pay me $230. I install this system onto your computer system with you. I'm not going to go onto your computer system remotely and poke around your files. We're going to go on Zoom. You are going to install it. I'm going to walk you through the installation as long as you listen to me and follow what I say. We're not going to have any problems. There are a couple of caveats. We need to make sure that your computer system is not corrupted. We need to make sure that your computer system does not have all kinds of problems, like it needs to be working properly. And as long as it's working properly, we can go ahead with this installation. And then I'm going to give you Slack support. Couple of months of Slack support, but who's counting? And I'm going to walk you through how to use Emacs. We're going to get you going with Emacs. We're going to teach you how to use Emacs, and we're just going to change your life. The way that you work with your computer, the way that you interact with files on the computer, with your notes, with your note cards, everything that you do on the computer. So once again, this system, this installation of Emacs, this configuration is really, really good for people that work with your computer. You spend a lot of time in your computer. Let's say you're a programmer. Let's say you're a writer. You're a researcher. You're a student. Then this is for you. This is something that you want. If you don't use your computer and you are spending your time on the hockey rink playing hockey, good for you. Hockey is awesome. I like hockey, but you don't need to buy this software. You could buy it. We could install it if you wanted to. We can go ahead and do that. But really, we're talking about people that spend time on their computer or that at least want to have access to your notes. I mean, you can buy whatever you want. You want to buy this software and spend 5 minutes on it a week? No problem. It's $230 to purchase this software. We're going to get you set up. We're going to get you going with Emacs. It's an incredible, awesome piece of software. And that's it for this video. You're free to go. You don't have to watch anymore. You can just, exit the video and that's that. So it's over. Until next time. But I just wanted to point out one other thing. I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and we're in the middle of a cold snap. I mean, it's cozy in here. It's not so bad, but we've had some really crisp weather. How's the weather where you are? How do you like it? I like the cold weather. I find that crisp, it gets me up in the morning, it gets me going. I really, I like it. I'm satisfied with the weather that we have here in Vancouver right now. We've got a real cold snap going. We've had a little bit of a storm come in, but we're also moving through that part of the year. January, we're right in the sexy part of the year. So we're rolling over into 2024. And spring is on the horizon. Now is the time to purchase some Emacs software. $230. Contact me. We're going to get you set up with Emacs. And we're going to install the system on your computer. And I'm going to teach you how to use the Emacs software. So thanks so much for watching. And looking forward to seeing you guys next time. I think I have to click off the screen if I want to exit.